Wherever you're viewing across the planet this morning, you're in Manhattan, you're in the west coast of America, you're in Brisbane in Australia, you're in New Zealand, you're in Canada, you're in Germany and continental Europe. And we're here in the heart of Newry, and I have Thomas O'Gorman with me from Newry, talking to us this morning and making you, like me, very, very welcome you are into our Studio One. Thomas, you've been in business all your life. You're an entrepreneurial person. You are a successful person, but you're not content to leave it at that. You want to pay something back into the community which spawned you, in a sense.
That's correct, yes.
And we're looking at, you're enthralled by the educational successes of young people in our area, their ambition and their dreams, and you want to try and do something to help.
That's right, yes.
Can you explain that to us, please?
Well, basically, myself and Jim Finnegan of JMC Mobile, we're trying to create an awareness amongst young people of the opportunities that exist by becoming entrepreneurs. We see so many young people at the moment who have gone through a very extensive education process, and at the end of it I find it difficult maybe to find suitable work.
Yes.
And what we're hoping to do is to create a competition within the schools to try and find young people who have really good business ideas to help them take them forward.
Yes.
And
it's a kind of a junior Dragon's Den.
It's a junior Dragon's Den, and we've enlisted the help of the Northern Ireland Science Park.
That's at the Titanic Quarter in Belfast.
Titanic Quarter, yes.
Yeah.
And they've been very, very good. They've organised the whole thing, and they've actually appointed a couple of people to work on it closely with us, and they're going to launch it on the 13th the 13th to the 20th of April. And we're very hopeful that it'll be hugely successful,
Why wouldn't it? Because that science park is a huge thing.
It's wonderful.
And you go in there and they're coming into it and out of it from schools all over the land.
That's right.
Having a great time.
Having a great time, that's right.
And we're now able to focus that great time onto the... But this is not an insubstantial thing you're doing. You're investing financially in this.
Well, myself and Jim would be investing just over 30,000 initially. And depending on the amount of success that we get from the competition, we would be prepared to further invest to bring the actual business opportunities to market, if that's a way forward for them. So yes, we are investing, but we're happy to invest, because there's a lot of education cuts in that, and I think the system needs some private input, from business people.
That sort of philanthropy is very important.
It is.
Men who have done well, who have made it, who are not going to starve in a bad winter, so to speak, having the wherewithal and the sense and the vision to know that personal strength is community strength.
Correct.
There's no point in having a strong personal situation, but you're in a broken community.
Absolutely, that's right. Yeah, I think it's everybody's responsibility to try and help in any way they can, And I've been fortunate enough to be relatively successful in business, as Jim has, and we just thought we would give something back and, and share some of that with our young people.
What is it, Thomas? What is it? I suppose this is a question many young people could ask. Even an old fellow could ask it like me, but I would never have been a businessman. But what is it in the oxygen of our living that makes a successful entrepreneur?
I suppose discipline, belief in yourself, and really my understanding of an entrepreneur would be just if you look at something, and there's a set way of doing it, and you say, well, what if? Just look at things from a different perspective. If you do the same as everyone else is doing, obviously, it's doing something different that no one else has thought of doing.
Yes.
And then capitalising on it, and trying to expand it into a successful model, whether it's business or whatever it is,
Our education system in Newry is second to none.
It's very good, yeah.
And we have in St. Coleman's College the young man who has become the Engineer of the Year in the United Kingdom.
Well, very proud
and
of him,
congratulations to Coleman's and the young man.
Yeah.
And he invented a system of farm safety.
That's correct.
That means the farmer will be safer in his day-to-day execution of tasks. People have lost arms and hands, and people have died in farms. This young man, using engineering hydraulics, has created something wonderful. That's the sort of thing you'd be interested in bringing on?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And I think he's within the age bracket for our competition, which we hope he will apply for the funding that we have on offer, you know.
Yeah, you must. And Cormac McKinney up there, the headmaster at Coleman's. Cormac is a good man.
He's a good man, yes, he is indeed.
You should be aware of this, Cormac, and really build on the already substantial success of your young engineer.
Absolutely, yeah.
A good thing to do.
Absolutely.
Now, there is, Thomas, the notion of I mentioned Dragon's Den.
Yeah.
There is a Dragon's Den on television. I'm not a king of any televisual castle, but I've been in the business a long, long time.
You have, yeah.
And it seems to me that a junior Dragon's Den on television would go a long way.
Well, that would be our objective.
Really?
That's what we're trying to achieve.
You will go a programme?
Yes, and you've been very helpful. You've given me a lot of contacts that I have obviously been in touch with, and they're all very supportive. I was in touch with Ardmore Advertising, with John, and he's very supportive. He's coming back to us, and so thanks to yourself, you've helped us move that forward. And a junior's Dragon's Den, I believe, would be very beneficial.
Yeah, certainly at the moment, the very least we'll do. Yeah. I think you were talking to Owen Ryan, my editor
Ryan as well.
in Nationwide.
Right. RTE Nationwide.
We'll get an RTE Nationwide there.
Well, hopefully, Owen said he would come down and see us, and he said he would love to see yourself again as a while. And
yeah, but that's all good. But you're drawn to support young people as opposed to doing. You have other things in the community, but this is a big priority for you, young people.
Yeah, well, I think if you can support the young people and they can become successful, I think then, they are obviously going to improve the whole economy for everyone. So I think if you start with the young people, it's a sort of like a ripple effect. Yeah. It will carry on up into our economy by creating business. If it comes into our economy, then obviously it's a better living standard for everybody. It's job creation,
I see the same thing in my Africa because in enabling education to occur, young people become qualified, young people go into the community, the economy improves.
Yes, right.
Even in the building of our schools and hospitals,
that's right, yeah.
It's not people from Ireland going over to do it.
No.
We're simply sending the money.
Exactly.
And the people there in the local economy grow. You're the plasterer, you're the bricklayer, you're the carpenter, you're the engineer, you're the electrician. Families and communities and townships all grow together.
They do, of course. That's right. Yeah, it's a community. And I think you're quite right, as I say. And it's the same as if you drop a pebble in the water, you get the ripple effect.
You do.
So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to, create something that's really going to grow and help the economy, in particular our young people, because you've seen with the education cuts recently there and the budget constraints. Yeah. So, we're trying to maybe possibly, compensate for that in a way as well.
It's a hard enough thing, Thomas, for people faced with the daily onslaught of bad news, cuts and cuts. Yeah. Even today, the people, Siobhan Fitzpatrick from Rostrevor, who's the Chief Executive Officer of Early Years Movement, the young education and preschool education. She has had their funding cut again.
All the time, yeah.
And people are constantly faced with job loss threats and all the rest of it. It takes a mighty tenacity, a huge determination for people to swim against that current and say we're going to do something else.
That's right, yeah. No, that's right. We need to encourage them.
Yeah.
And I think we need more support, from government and hopefully as well from business leaders, to try and, I know they are supporting, our young people and that, but I think, if they could just make another effort to try and in these difficult times, I think now more than ever we need whatever sort of support that we can get collectively together to try and create an environment for our young people to move forward,
There's part of my heart roaring out of my mouth at Thomas O'Gorman, saying, where have you been all our lives? Because what you're bringing to the table now is a vision for progress. And we could have been doing with that over the last 20, 30 years.
Yeah, well, I was struggling the last 20 or 30 years.
You were building yourself.
I was building myself.
Well, that's understandable.
Yeah.
That's understandable. So you come to the table of community at the time you can.
Well, this is it. I'm 63 now, so I've sort of achieved most of the goals. In fact, more than what I ever hoped I would achieve. And you know, obviously I would like to give something back. And as I said, Jim Finnegan has also partnered me in this competition as well. And Jim's also, he's ideally placed because he's young, he's dynamic, and he's, you know, he's very optimistic.
Yeah.
You know, about what can be achieved from this competition. So myself and Jim, you know, I think we're a good combination, and working with the science park, which is great. The fact
I know you, I know Jim, I know the science park.
That's right, yeah.
I've done documentaries down there in
That's
it.
right, yeah.
W5, isn't that the part of it there?
That's right, yeah.
It's there,
That's right,
and
yeah.
we all, you know, I just sense you're a good team.
We are a great team, and as I say, it was actually Fergal McCormick that introduced me to a lady called Miriam Ferran, and Miriam is involved with the International Fund for Ireland. So Fergal arranged a meeting, and I met Miriam, and then she introduced me to the Northern Ireland Science Park.
Yeah.
And it's just really come on from there,
Yeah.
you know.
But you know, isn't this something, Miriam, the International Fund for Ireland?
That's right, yeah.
You have planted an acorn that
That's
can
right.
grow very, very big.
That's what we're hoping. That's the plan.
But you have the right people. You're talking to the International Fund for Ireland.
That's right, yeah.
You know.
That's right, yeah.
I could see you hosting a dinner in New York with the International Fund for Ireland,
Well, I
and
hope
people
you're
will
right.
come,
Yeah.
and the dollars of progress
Yeah.
will come from America.
Wouldn't that be great for our young people?
Well, sure. Why wouldn't it?
Why wouldn't it?
You're
Yeah.
the right man in the right place at the right time.
I hope so. And
There is
Jim-
a saying, carpe diem,
Yeah.
seize the day.
Seize the day, and as I say again, with Jim's support, which is invaluable to us as well, you know, because I don't understand technology that well, but he's an expert in technology, so it's very important. Most of the new business generation will be technology based.
Yes.
And it's great to have him on board, you know.
Right. We mention young people. Can you remember in your life, as you were coming forward, as you were growing up, what were the circumstances of your hunger for success in business developing?
Well, I was born into a very poor community, which was the back streets of Bessbrook. It was James's Street, and really nobody had anything. And education was very simple. We didn't have the superior education system I have now. And I think just there's people who have a hunger to succeed and to move forward. And, you know, I just seen successful people, and I just felt that I wanted to be a successful person. I think it's an individual thing with people, you know, just that you just get a feeling that you want to be successful, and then it's just that drive, I think, that brings you forward to try and succeed, you know.
Lifestyle choice.
It's a lifestyle choice, yeah.
You've never smoked or drank in your life?
I used to smoke and drink in my 20s.
Yeah.
And thank God I stopped.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be here today, I'm sure, with the smoking anyway. I was quite a heavy smoker.
Yeah.
And so I don't drink or smoke now.
Yes.
I feel all the better for it.
What about education, Thomas? Where did you go to school?
We went to the convent in Bessbrook, and then we went to it was the model school in Bessbrook. I think was Poppy Fern was the head teacher, and then
Poppy Fern.
Yeah, we just
taught my wife Poppy Fern.
Did he? He's a lovely man.
Yeah.
Lovely man, yeah. And then just as the school closed, I was 14, and then St. Paul's Secondary opened.
It was just opening.
It was just opening, so I was there for about 6 months, and then my mother died, and I left school early, and then it was just into the hardship of the real world.
Yeah.
My first wages was 10 shillings a week, which is 50p.
What did you do for that?
I worked, well, I could never keep a job. This is one of the, you know, at the time you'd have thought it a negative, but obviously it turned out a positive. I worked in, the first job I had, I think I worked in Newry Steam Laundry. I was a van boy. I left there, I worked in Bessbrook Mill as a bobbin boy. I worked in Ulster Textiles. I worked in the Mully Mill. I worked in John Temple's as a salesperson. I worked for Alfie Briggs as kitchens. I worked in the Ardmore Hotel as a chef. I burnt 90 chickens one night. I got the sack out of every job I was ever in. I was unemployable. You know?
I love you. This is marvellous.
It's true.
It's the most beautiful story,
Yes,
Thomas.
it's crazy, you know.
Yeah. I mirror some of that because I never stayed in one job too long until I went into journalism.
Journalism.
And then, you know, I was helping. My first experience was I ran away from grammar school, the Abbey. Didn't like it.
Yeah, did I went to the Abbey.
Couldn't have had it.
That's right.
And I told guys about my age, and I got a job as a labourer in Haldon and Shields' timber yard.
Oh, lovely.
I tailed the timber coming out of Jimmy Morney's moulding machine.
Oh.
That started me.
That started, yeah.
And then I thought to myself, you know, there's fellows in that office, like you seeing the people who are successful.
Yeah.
I saw fellows in the office in the middle of winter, through the from the timber yard, from the sawmill, in through the window, the warm yellow lamplight of the office.
Of the office.
And fellas in their shirt sleeves.
It looked
And
nice.
I'm out there with the ass hanging out of my trousers,
With the shovel.
trying to do the thing and the
That's
shovel and
right.
everything.
Yeah.
And I said, I want to be like that.
Yeah.
And then my father coincidentally said, would you fancy going to Belfast and going to college and you can be an officer in the Navy? And I went and I became a radio officer in the Merchant Navy, travelled the world.
Very good.
And then followed my heart home to marry the woman I met. And I was going to join the Metropolitan Police.
Right.
And I was accepted and had to go into the Met. I had to report for training at the end of that month. At the beginning of that month, I got a little brown envelope, biro scrawled, from the Frontier Sentinel in Newry, the
Yes.
local newspaper.
Remember that.
Please come and join us. And that's where it started
That's
for
where
me.
it started. Well, we all benefited from that.
Although, you're kind to
Indeed
say
we have,
so.
absolutely. As I say, you've
You're
been very
kind to
good
say
in
so. We
relation
do
to...
there was another man, and you would identify with this. There was a Phoenix Insurance Company in Belfast.
I remember that.
And I remember years ago, they were celebrating their 50th anniversary. I was running Radio Current Affairs in the BBC at the time.
Yeah.
And the boss and I went out to dinner, the Phoenix thing, and he said to me, and he gave me a souvenir book.
Yeah.
And he said, Rowan, he said, always keep the airwaves productive.
Yeah.
And that's what you're doing now. In all the things we're doing, we're trying to be productive.
Productive,
And
that's
make a
right, yeah.
difference. Yeah,
There's a lot of negativity about, so you have to try and compensate for that.
absolutely.
You know, there's a lot of, you know, as I say, educational cuts, and you know, a lot of our young people are struggling to find, you know, suitable careers for themselves. And you know, I think people like ourselves who are fortunate enough to be in a position should be trying our best to give young people a chance that maybe we didn't get when we were young. You know,
It's a good philosophy.
I think it is. Yeah.
You see, there are people now in America, they're increasingly philanthropic. You have the head of Microsoft recently
Bill
giving
Gates.
Bill. Then there's the other fellow. There's
Warren
another.
Buffett.
He's given away this fellow this week,
He's
giving
given
away
800
all his
million,
money,
fortune,
800
that's right,
million.
the head of Apple. That's right.
Once he gets his child, educated.
That's correct.
But I mean, there's only so much you can do with money.
This is it.
For yourself.
For yourself, totally.
You know,
Yeah.
you've only so many cars, you can have so many holidays. You
That's
can have,
right.
Then you have to look, what is going to give me the next big excitement in my life?
Yeah.
And often as not, that's looking over the fence at other things and other people.
Absolutely, yeah. No, well, I think if God makes you fortunate enough to be successful, I'm sure He would want you to do good with your success.
Absolutely.
That's that's my belief anyway, you know.
Thomas, you mentioned God. There is a God in your life, yes?
There is, yes.
And how would you define that God?
He's a personal God. I'm not someone who really goes to church or would class myself as being religious. I just have a personal relationship with God that I found through my life has been totally, you know, strength. He's given me the strength in difficult situations, and I believe everything that I've achieved has been with God's help. And I believe that if you don't have God in your life, there's a void. You know, and I think I was about 40 before I realised that void was there, and then once I realised what it was, for me anyway. Yeah. And as I say, I just find that He's your best friend.
That's such a beautiful thought.
Well, that's what I do, you know, as
Yeah.
I say, and you know, because there is an awful lot of, you know, strife in the world, and you know, life's full of challenges and difficulties, and you have health issues and different things, and you really need someone that you can turn to, you know, in despair. And I turn to God because He's never let me down, you know.
I see, there's a vision coming to me as you speak. I'm seeing a country well, stone-lined, at the bottom of a meadow.
Oh,
I'm looking down into it on a summer's day.
yes.
And I see the sparkling water there.
Yeah.
And I have a bucket on a rope. I'm dropping it down in to get water out.
Yeah.
The well is God. The bucket is my need.
Yep.
And it's a beautiful
That's a beautiful, yeah, absolutely.
connection.
Yeah, it is indeed, yeah.
Thomas, I wish you well.
Yeah.
You will keep us informed as to how it's all going.
Yes, well, the Science Park have asked me if you would perhaps give them airtime some morning during the week of the 13th to the 20th to help them promote this competition for the schools.
The 13th of
April to the
April.
20th. It's a week they're allocating to launch the...
Well, we will certainly do that.
That'd be great.
We will do that with enthusiasm, and you and I will talk off air as to the best date that suits them.
Absolutely, that'd be very good.
Thomas O'Gorman, it's a joy, a pleasure, a privilege to know you.
And the same to you.
God bless you. I want to tell, there's a personal story I must tell.
Yes.
Do you mind if I tell the Africa story?
Yeah, you tell it.
When I first went to northwest Nigeria, I was going into a very difficult place where there had been kidnappings, where there had been violence. A place where the Foreign Affairs Department of the government in England was saying, do not go. And Thomas and I had a conversation over a coffee one day, and I was explaining to him the challenge that lay ahead of me and the worries I had about going. Not least among them kidnapping.
Absolutely.
And Thomas said to me, and it's still in my phone today, there is my details. There you have it. There are my details. That's my phone number. In any situation in which you are imperiled in Africa, ring me, and if money can sort it out, I will sort it out.
That was true. Well, obviously, you were a very close friend, and I didn't want to see anything happen to you, and we couldn't afford to lose you in Uri, so we had to look after you when you were away. I'm glad you come back.
God bless you.
Yep.
Thomas O'Gorman, that's great, and we'll go to music and then the end of the programme. Thank you for coming in.
Thanks, Rowan.
God bless you.
Destination Newry. Keep it on. We're back in moments.
Newry Veterinary Centre, located on Patrick Street in Newry, is committed to providing you with the very best in pet healthcare. The veterinary team bring a wealth of experience to the practice and have individually obtained high standards of professional qualification. Our services include small animal, large animal and equine, 24-hour emergency service, consultations by appointment, ultrasound scanning, digital x-ray facilities, in-house laboratory and much more. Contact us today. Newry Veterinary Centre, 39A Patrick Street, Newry, or telephone 028 302 62266. Trainer's Bar, located in the heart of Camla, has a comfortable atmosphere, affordable drinks with a new outside smoking area. We are known for our great table service and entertainment, and we have recently installed a new darts room. Come join us on the weekends for the latest drink promotions, music and entertainment. We are located on 21 Main Street, Camla, Newry, County Down, BT 357JG. Give us a ring on 028 3083 707.
You've reached your destination.
Well,